April snorted and said, "I'm already pregnant with your child. What am I to be jealous of?" Aaron was not pleased. "I should be saying you're pregnant and can't satisfy my needs. Be careful. I might not want you anymore." Whoa, what a thing to say. April laughed. "Sure, but can your body respond to the touch of anyone else but me?" Aaron fell silent. "Probably not, right?" April answered her own question haughtily. "If not, then stop being so cocky. We women are unlike you. These things are irrelevant to us." Finishing her sentence, she hung up. Aaron stared at his phone, surprised. It usually took him a while to become frustrated, but his April had now become shameless and arrogant. When he reached the private dining room, Jeremy and the others were already there. They were his former buddies in the army. Jeremy's relatives were also present at the occasion. Richard, the extroverted person that he was engaged in a game of dice with Jeremy's family. As he walked in, Jeremy waved at him while singing. "You just came back." Aaron quickly brought over a table and 2 pints of beer. "Come, here's to you. Cheers to your return. And I thought you wouldn't make it here." Jeremy chuckled. "Like you said, many things have happened, and I don't really want to hear about Jenica from you. I understand that you're on good terms with her," Aaron said. "But April will soon be my wife." Jeremy was frustrated, but he was not dumb. Aaron was unwilling to come before. Now that he was here, he was afraid that he would chase him away if he said anything more. Furthermore, Jenica had not said much about this. Even if he wanted to speak for her, it would be pointless. He gulped the beer that Aaron brought over and asked, "How has, Sylvia been? Still the same?" Aaron placed his beer down. "Where have you been transferred to? You're my father?" "No." Jeremy shook his head. "I've been transferred to the Public Security Bureau." Aaron was stunned. "I thought you were busy with the military in the new year, and also with the chief of staff." "I thought about it for a while. I still feel the Public Security Bureau is a better place for me," Jeremy said. "I'm a part of Special Forces. I still prefer leading the front line. Dealing with troops and commanding forces is not really my thing. Furthermore, Sylvia..." Aaron immediately understood. In the 3 or 4 months that Jeremy had been away, his mother had kept recommending suitors for Sylvia to meet and date, but she was never interested in any of them. Everyone knew she had not forgotten about Jeremy Carter. It's fate. He did not have anything more to say about love. He patted him on the shoulder and sat down next to Richard. "Why didn't Jenica come?" Richard shot him a look. "She left after dinner. Her mother's incarcerated. Do you expect her to have the mood to play?" Aaron did not ask anything further. Soon, his army buddies came over with bottles of wine and beer. Back in those days with the squad, there were very few who did not drink. They drank like old times and reminisced about the old days. Without Jenica around, Aaron felt more relaxed. He had planned to stay out for only an hour, but ended up staying out till 10 p.m. One of his buddies got off the phone with his daughter and said, "I have to go. My daughter's crying for me at home and I won't go to bed till I get there." In the past, Aaron could only be envious, but now he quickly stood up and said, "Me too. I have to go back since my wife is pregnant with our daughter. She keeps kicking and doing somersaults in my wife's stomach. She's relentless." Everyone was stunned. "When did you get married? Why didn't you send us invitations? How unkind. You don't even see us as true brothers." One of his buddies from the forces complained. "We aren't married yet. We're planning to do so in half a year." Aaron had drunk quite a bit and was easily excited. "I'll invite you all when the time comes. We'll hold you to it." Another friend who was only about 30% drunk and was able to think clearly. "Think your wife must have been pregnant for at least 6 or 7 months by now for your child to be able to do somersaults. How amazing." "It is quite amazing," Aaron mumbled. By now, Richard was laughing so hard that his stomach hurt. Aaron had quite an imagination. A baby doing somersaults at 3 months of pregnancy. It must be unprecedented indeed. Another man stood up as well. "I have to go. My wife just called and she sounds angry." Richard pulled him back. "Isn't your wife overseas?" "She can still call from overseas. You all aren't married. You don't understand." "Yeah, all you unmarried and single people won't understand. Aaron piped in from the side and patted Richard on the shoulder melancholically. "Let's go." Richard rolled his eyes. He would sense that Aaron's words were dripping with spite. After a while, almost 2/3 of the people in the room had left. Richard and Jeremy sat face to face. "You must be glad that you didn't marry Sylvia at the beginning of this year," Richard said to Jeremy in a half-drunken state. "Scram!" Jeremy coldly dismissed Richard. Aaron was on his way home. The alcohol had just taken effect. After dozing in and out of sleep, he was awakened by Marvin. Opening his eyes, he realized that he was home. Marvin stood on the side and said, "Sir, will you be all right? Do you want me to bring you in?" "If I'm not all right, would my woman be pregnant?" He sat up. His eyes looked hazy, but his consciousness mostly preserved. "Still better than you. You didn't even have the chance to get anyone pregnant." Marvin was left speechless by this personal attack. Had he offended him? Aaron got out of the car haughtily and entered the house. It was already past 11 p.m., and April had just gotten into bed, but had not fallen asleep. Hearing the sound of the door opening slowly, she knew that Aaron was back. He tripped over many objects in the dark, but did not dare turn on the lights. However, Aaron tripped over an undetected obstacle and fell flat on his face with a loud noise. April sat up quickly. She switched on the light and saw him sprawled on the floor like a bear. Now that the lights were on, Aaron tried to get up, but he had had one too many drinks and his legs felt weak. It took him a while to get to his feet. His face was flushed as he said, "It's too dark. I couldn't see. Did I wake you up?" "How much did you drink?" April was quite amused at the situation. His disheveled look made her want to laugh. "Must have been about 10 bottles of beer and a few bottles of whiskey. There were so many old friends today, and we haven't seen each other in a while." He rubbed his face. April took in a deep breath. He reeked of alcohol. However, he rarely went out to drink, so it must have been really fun with his buddies tonight. "Lie down. I'll fetch you a towel," April said as she got up. Don't move." Aaron hurriedly stopped her and said, "The doctor said you need to rest. I'll do it myself." "Don't fall again," she reminded him. Aaron took a cold shower in the bathroom. When he came out, he felt sober. He put an arm around April and murmured, "Before, every time I got together with my army friends, some of them would leave early, saying that they needed to go home to spend time with their wives and kids. Today, it was finally my turn to show off. Everybody was jealous of me." This made April laugh. What was there to be jealous of? She turned her face and saw that Aaron had closed his eyes. His face filled with a satisfied smile. His hand lingered on her lower belly. She was content with what she had. But in a couple of minutes, that changed. Aaron snored every time he was drunk. As she moved slightly, Aaron murmured with a gentle voice, "Good baby, don't move. You can't turn somersaults yet." April was speechless. At first, she thought he was calling her baby. Next morning, Aaron woke up to see April's unhappy face. "Mr. Bennett, you snored loudly last night." The smile which had just emerged on Aaron's face froze immediately. Before, April had complained that he snored when he was drunk. He always denied that. This time, as she accused him of it again, he couldn't keep pretending that it didn't happen. "I get it. You don't like me drinking, do you? You're trying to make me give up on drinking. Don't worry. I won't drink again," he said. A couple of seconds later, he calmly sat up from the bed. April was left speechless. It seemed that he wouldn't admit snoring, no matter what. "Oh, have you watched the film Medusa? What do you think about it?" he abruptly asked. April paused briefly. She thought that he was trying to distract her. "I have. It's popular. I think it's the film with the highest box office takings this year." "Who did you watch that film with?" "Winnie." "Why did you suddenly mention that film?" April was a little confused. I heard people talking about it yesterday when I was at the Westeros for the meeting." April couldn't stop praising the film. "It's worth watching indeed. It was about 140 minutes long, but the plot is compact. It's actually not slow at all. Aaron glanced at her and pulled a long face. During breakfast, he asked casually, "Would you break up with me if your family didn't like me?" Why suddenly ask that kind of question? "I'm just checking. I'm a little bored." "You didn't give up on me when your family didn't like me, so I'd do the same for you." April took a bite of the poached egg, then responded smilingly. Aaron's eyes instantly glowed. Since April had given her word, he didn't need to worry that he might have offended his future mother-in-law anymore. "But Aaron, are you really going to work with a face like that?" April couldn't help but remind him. Aaron paused in confusion. April kindly opened the front-facing camera on her phone to let him see himself. There was a bruise on one side of his cheek. He must have fallen to the ground last night. That bruise would totally spoil his handsome image. A while later, he raised his head and said to her helplessly, "Give me some foundation." However, the foundation didn't have a very strong concealing function. After breakfast, Marvin drove to the villa to pick Aaron up. He spotted the bruise on his face. "Mr. Bennett, what happened to your face? Did you get drunk and fall last night? Do I look like someone who would do something so stupid? It was all April's fault. Last night she was unhappy because I came home too late. She lost her temper and hurt my face with her head." He glanced at Marvin, then got into the car. Marvin stayed silent. He didn't really believe Aaron. "You're so thick-skinned, and Miss April is a pregnant lady. Did she really have the courage to bump her head against your face?" he asked silently. After getting into the car, Marvin handed Aaron a stack of files and said, "These are the files about Miss Diaz that you asked for." "That was quick." Aaron raised his brows. "Good. You have improved." Marvin flashed a fake smile and replied, "Earlier, you wanted to buy out Magma Group, but Miss Diaz got it first. I figured that you might be unhappy about it and that you'd probably tell me to dig out her background. So I did some research in advance." Aaron lowered his head and opened the file. The file wasn't thick. The first page had details about Miss Melissa Diaz. According to the file, she had returned to the Diaz family 5 years ago. Her father was Mr. Diaz's third son. She wasn't working in the iron and steel business of her family, but often went to the polar regions to film documentaries. 3 years ago, she had been caught in an avalanche in Antarctica. The rescue team took 2 days to rescue her, but still, she was severely injured and had to stay in the hospital for 6 months. Before that, no history of hers could be found. Jeffrey was the same as his mother. Earlier, he was 20% sure that Miss Diaz was April's mother, and now that number went up to 25. 3 years ago, April's brother went to Lukesville to look for her. After that, nothing was heard about him. Perhaps it was because his mother had an accident at that time. Also, Melissa seemed to have been majorly involved in something related to directing before. "There's another thing," said Marvin. "Earlier, Isaac was injured, and it might have been something to do with Miss Diaz, too. I heard that on that day they left the Industrial and Commercial Bureau together for dinner, and after that, Isaac was sent to the hospital seriously injured. Weirdly, he didn't call the police." Aaron closed the file. Marvin continued, "I also heard that the day Isaac was discharged from the hospital, her mother too went to the hospital to have wounds dressed. No one knew how she had been injured. She didn't call the police either. After that, Isaac went missing." Aaron remained silent. Marvin quietly glanced at him through the rear mirror, then continued, "Mr. Bennett, if she was really Miss April's mother, she seems to be very hard to deal with and pretty violent. Tell me about it." Aaron rubbed his forehead with a sulky face. "She did all that I wanted to do. She punched Isaac and slapped Mira. He was planning to torture Isaac brutally after he got Kenneth, April's father, out of prison. But now, someone had done that already. In the future, when her mother found her, April would become a rich girl. She would have everything she wanted and more money than she could ever need. She would be even richer than him. In that case, he would become a useless man to her, except for in bed. However, if she's really Miss April's mother, she should have talked to her long ago. Marvin didn't understand that. Also, why did Jeffrey move next door to Miss April? They're trying to find out what kind of man I am. That was the only explanation that Aaron could come up with. Marvin didn't respond. Aaron put a hand on his forehead and continued, "I don't even remember what I've said in front of them. It was definitely something mean. proud and impolite, he thought. It's okay. You'll be such a wonderful son-in-law. I'm sure that April's mother will like you. Marvin complimented Aaron despite his true feelings. Is that so? He mulled over it for a moment. You're absolutely right. He was only speaking casually. Mr. Bennett, don't take me seriously, Marvin thought. What will you do next? He continued, brushing his thoughts. I'll act innocent, of course, then sneakily pretend to be humble, gentle, and refined in front of my mother-in-law to be. Aaron grunted and shot him a look. Quickly gather her itinerary for me. What about Jeffrey? No need. How annoying. Marvin was speechless. Why? April mentioned that if she found her brother, she would dote on him exclusively. Wouldn't that put me in second place? He was troubled by the thought of not being April's priority anymore. He did not expect April's brother to be this capable and talented. Why wasn't he ugly at least? Quickly return to the office. I must work hard to earn lots of money. Then I can be worthy of the Diaz's status and let my mother-in-law know that I am a clever and intelligent man, unrivaled in society. Marvin heaved a sigh. Ever since his boss had fallen in love, it had taken a while for him to behave normally again. But today, he seemed to not be in his right mind again. Richard got up early and rushed to work. After returning home from that night, after singing with Jeremy and his family, he had intended to stay at home instead of going to work. However, recently Aaron had loosened his grip on things, so he had no choice but to discipline himself and get up early for work. After working for a while, his secretary came over and began shifting away all the documents on his desk. What's going on? Mr. Bennett says he wants to handle all these cases himself, the secretary said nonchalantly. You've been emancipated. You can go fishing again. Who in his right mind goes fishing on such a hot day? Crazy. Richard kicked open the door of Aaron's office and stormed in. You're playing games with me. One moment you're giving me all the work, and the next you're taking it all away? Aaron's gaze lifted from his computer screen and crossed his arms. He spoke solemnly. I've thought about it. If the company is to earn money and be one of the top 50 in the world, it's going to be on me. Half a year has passed. We can hustle and earn $30 billion before the end of the year. Richard looked at him incredulously, as if he were looking at someone with a psychiatric problem. Top 50? You must have a problem. He shot a glance at Marvin to understand what had gotten into Aaron today. Marvin smirked as he looked out of the window. If we really rely on you, we will have a problem. But it won't be a problem with me, Aaron said plainly and got back to his work. Go on out and don't disturb my work, he said while his eyes constantly read some text flashing on his screen. The Diaz family's estate was in the global top 100. As their son-in-law, he had to get to the top 50. Only then would they continue to admire him. And when they eventually get married, Melissa would ever so gratefully entrust April to him and say, My daughter is so fortunate to have found you in her lifetime, Aaron. You're so outstanding. Aaron's lips curled into a smile. He was confident. 7 p.m. Aaron emerged from the Maybach in his suit. Marvin looked at him from inside the car. Mr. Bennett, are you all right? Will April's mother really not suspect a thing? My acting is so good that even April falls for it, Aaron said confidently before stepping onto the platform. Marvin looked at his haughty silhouette, secretly wishing that he'd slip and fall. Entering the gala, Aaron quickly noticed Melissa talking to the guest in the crowd. He couldn't have made it out of there if Marvin hadn't found out this event from her schedule. Tonight, he had to clear up all the misunderstandings which Melissa had of himself. He intended to walk over to her, but someone stopped him on his way, mentioning all kinds of things about fundraising. The person was a respected man, so Aaron had no other option but to respond to him absent-mindedly, with his eyes fixed on Melissa Diaz. Seeing Melissa walking to the buffet table, he hurriedly said, "Excuse me," to the man and walked quickly over to her. He asked the waiter for 2 to-go boxes, then put them on his dish. Next, he put his phone between his ear and shoulder, then walked to Melissa. Melissa was about to pick up a Canadian scallop when a food tong reached over sideways and took away the last remaining scallop. She turned and found Aaron standing by her side holding a dish with one hand. On his dish were 2 to-go boxes, one for desserts, one for snacks. While getting food, he was also talking on the phone.
April, I got you a scallop. What else do you want? Up to me? All right. Well, I'll get you a little of everything. Wait for me. I'll be home soon.
He put the tongs on the table, then put the phone back into his trouser pocket. After that, he turned, looked at Melissa and said,
Miss Diaz, what a small world.
She raised her eyebrows, looked at the food dish, and stayed silent. Aaron carefully observed her eyes and face. He licked his tongue silently. He hadn't paid too much attention to her face yesterday, but today, as he looked closely, he found that she looked a lot like April. He should have noticed it earlier.
I'm sorry for taking your scallop. My girlfriend loves them too, he said.
Are you guys living together? She asked, squinting her eyes.
Yeah.
Aaron picked up the tongs and continued taking food. Meanwhile, he said,
She didn't have a mother and her father isn't with her. She was out there all alone. I was really worried about her. Last time, she was suddenly ill with a fever and her roommate wasn't in the city. No one was there to take care of her. So this summer vacation, I asked her to move in with me.
Hearing him mention that April was once ill, Melissa felt heartache. Without her, April must have suffered a lot of pain and bitterness. Detecting the upset look which clearly showed in her eyes, Aaron now firmly believed that she was April's mother. Taking too much might get her suspicious, so he started picking a dessert. I don't think we're allowed to take the food away, she reminded him. At a formal dinner party like this, most of the guests would follow this rule. All the people who were invited to this kind of place were rich and high status. They would rarely pack the food and take it away.
I know, but my girlfriend really has a good appetite. Later, I'll tell the host of the party about this. He's a friend of mine,
Aaron said while packing food.
She can finish 4 boxes of food like this easily.
Melissa didn't respond. She had a good appetite herself, but she was still surprised by how much her daughter could eat.
Previously, something bad happened in her family. For a whole year, she could only afford tofu and cabbages. So after that, her appetite got better and better.
Aaron sighed.
When I learned about her past, I swore that I'd give her all the best food in the world.
Tofu and cabbages. Melissa felt sadder and sadder. Mr. Bennett, since you care so much about your girlfriend, I guess you'll get married very soon, right?
Of course. We were going to marry earlier this year, but we had to postpone because of her father. I really want to marry her right now. In fact, Starlight originally belonged to my girlfriend's family. I was going to buy it out and then give it to her as our wedding gift. However, you got it first. For that reason, I had a bad attitude towards you. Miss Diaz, I wonder if you would be willing to sell the company to me. You can name the price.
Would you even pay $20 billion for it? She asked. Aaron thought for a moment with a frown, then nodded and said,
Even though Starlight isn't worth that price now, I can raise its market value to $20 billion in 2 years.
You are very confident. Melissa gave a faint smile, then said, but in a not-so-good way. You're arrogant.
You can call people incapable, but for me, I'm just confident.
Aaron wore a proud look. She shook her head with a smile and said, Anyone with your family background will have the courage to be as reckless as you.
You are wrong. I earned what I have all by myself.
Aaron justified himself carelessly.
Besides, I'm afraid that the YCC Corporation Group is going to have a big problem in 5 years unless they adjust their management mode.
A gentle voice was heard from the side.
Aaron, it's inappropriate for you to say bad things about your mother's management mode behind her back, isn't it?
Aaron turned and saw Shane walk over, wearing a good suit and holding a glass of wine. He was over 50 years old, but he still always looked outstandingly handsome in a crowd. Aaron wasn't happy to see him in the current situation.
Uncle, you're here too?
He said.
Yeah. How long it's been since you last returned to the Bennett family?
Shane accused him.
Your grandmother mentions your name every single day. What about you? You only visit them once a month? Your grandpa is very angry. He said that you do nothing but spend time with your girlfriend. He likes her less and less. He even said that he'll never allow her to become a member of our family."
Aaron's face turned dark. He couldn't help but glance at Melissa and found her pulling a long face. Was his uncle here to ruin his plan?
"Uncle, please tell Grandpa that I've already decided to marry April. If he disagrees, I'd choose April over the Bennett family name. I have plenty of properties anyway. Also, since he dislikes her so much, I'll just celebrate my 30th birthday with my grandparents on my mom's side. They like her very much." "How can you do that?" Shane glared at him and said, "Your grandma has prepared a gift for you. Are you going to break her heart?" "Uncle, I'm really busy here. I'm getting food for my girlfriend. Leave me alone,"
he said, then turned and carefully picked more food. Shane clicked his tongue and said,
"What's so good about her? Look at you. You haven't even married her yet, but you've already become a slave to her."
Aaron responded quickly,
"Everything about her is good. She has a great personality and understands me better than anyone in the Bennett family does."
The expression on Melissa's face turned slightly better. "Mr. Bennett, excuse me. Have a good talk with your uncle." After saying that, she turned and left.
"Who's that?"
Shane looked at her and asked. Aaron was very unhappy. He had prepared a long speech to show Melissa his outstanding business knowledge, yet his uncle suddenly showed up and interrupted him.
"Uncle, didn't I tell you to leave me alone?"
he said in an unfriendly tone, then started ignoring him. Shane was vexed. No wonder his mother had always wanted to find a way to stuff Aaron back into her womb. She had her reasons. At 9 p.m., Aaron left the gala and got back into his Maybach. Marvin asked,
"How did tonight go?" "Initially, my mother had already taken a liking to me, but my uncle got in the way of things."
He sighed deeply.
Marvin scoffed to himself. Calling her your mother? Melissa might just slap you if she heard.
10 minutes later, he said,
"Mr. Bennett, we're being followed by a car. Since the gala?" "Yes."
Marvin nodded.
"At the traffic light just now, I took a look in the rearview mirror. It's a black Benz. It might be Melissa Diaz's car. Drive to the front. I think there's a fruit store ahead. Make a stop there."
Aaron nodded.
"You're buying fruit?" "Uh-huh. I need to keep up the part of a good husband,"
Aaron answered. Was he addicted to acting? After Marvin pulled up, Aaron got off the car and walked into the fruit store. Although he enjoyed fruit, he rarely bought them himself. As for the times he went to April's apartment, he would only accompany her to purchase goods from the supermarket. He would leave her in charge of choosing the items, but would pay for the items and carry them. There was quite a variety of fruits in the store. He picked up a bag and began filling it with grapes, raisins, peaches, cherries, etc. After about 5 minutes, Melissa's silhouette appeared in the peripheries of his vision.
"What a coincidence. Are you here to buy fruit too?"
Aaron asked as he stood up. She looked at the fruit in his hand and asked, "Do you buy fruit often?"
I have no choice. The girlfriend loves fruit," Aaron said. "She especially loves grapes. I have to peel the skin off every time she has them."
The corner of Melissa's lips curled into a smile. He had a strange expression in his eyes. Aaron was afraid that he said too much and might be suspicious, so he turned around to proceed to the cashier. After paying for his fruit, Aaron looked at Melissa and said,
"Take your time. I'm going to go first."
"Hold on." Melissa followed him out.
"Is there anything else?"
Aaron came to a halt, pretending to be in a rush to get back home. "You already know who I am, don't you?" Melissa's lips were curled in a vague smile. The midsummer breeze brushed past Aaron's handsome face, but his expression was frozen, like stone. "You must have done your research on me. Business is not my forte. My career lives in direction and photography. I oversee short films and programs of the polar region. Although my crew is small and we do not place much emphasis on acting, I am still able to tell when someone is acting," Melissa said with a devious glint appeared in her eyes. His charade had drawn some suspicion. "One more thing. Yesterday while Jeffrey was on stage, He said that his surname was Mo. I think that if you've done your research on April's mother, Melissa continued saying, and you appeared before me tonight. Yesterday, you didn't even have the patience to speak, but tonight, you talked endlessly to me about April, saying how well you treat her, how much you pamper her, and now you're here to buy fruit. You must have known that I was following you from behind. I don't think you buy fruit at all. Those grapes you chose earlier were all bad ones. Aaron looked down at his bag of fruit. Indeed, there were a few bad grapes. This fruit store was terrible.
You're right, although I've been a little too deliberate. It was only because you're April's mother,
Aaron confessed as his gaze deepened.
Why have you avoided her? Don't you want to find out more about your son-in-law-to-be?
Melissa snapped. What son-in-law? I've never given you my approval.
Your approval isn't important to me. What's important is April's approval.
Aaron straightened his back.
I believe you've investigated my past with April. I sympathize with the circumstances of your marriage, but no matter what, you only gave birth to April without doing anything else for her. I was there for her in her darkest hours. Where were you when she scrimped and saved, when she didn't have enough for food and warmth, and when she was hurt by Isaac? I helped her through all that, so even if you dislike me, you have no right to keep us apart.
Melissa's heart felt as if it had been lacerated, writhing in pain. She could feel her eyes getting warm. There are many things you don't understand, but you're right. I have not played the role of a mother, she nodded. But what mother does not feel for her children? She is my flesh and blood. Abandoning her is like abandoning the most precious thing to me. She took a moment to allow the whirlwind of emotions in her to settle down. Look how I am. You must think that I'm wealthy and should have reconciled with my daughter. You're wrong. I was only accepted by the Diaz family 5 years ago. For the past 10 years and more, I've been bringing another child around in a foreign country, living day to day in poverty. Under these circumstances, how could I come back for my daughter and make her suffer with me? If I'd come back, I might not have been able to even keep my son with me. Aaron had heard about the misunderstandings between April's father and Melissa. In the past, he might not have understood this, but ever since April had become pregnant, he suddenly understood the responsibility of being a parent. As a parent, who would not want the best for their children?
Mom, rest assured, April and I will treat you well in the future.
Sweet nothings were reserved for his woman. As for his mother-in-law, all that was needed was action. Had she heard him wrongly? Who asked him to call her mom? Out of nowhere, a grown man calling her mom? Melissa was shocked. How thick-skinned. A few moments ago, she was still reeling from the hurt in her heart. She was even worried that she would shed tears. But now, she was determined not to do so in front of this scoundrel. If her daughter was too gentle, she would be strict. Who are you calling Mom? She snapped rudely. You. Aaron refused to avert his gaze from her. Melissa was now speechless. How did her daughter attract such an oddity? Stop trying to pretend to be close to me. I will not forget your attitude towards me yesterday. She laughed coldly. Your eyes must as well have been on the top of your head. Aaron raised his eyebrows slightly. He knew that she must have remembered what happened yesterday.
I didn't know you were April's mother yesterday.
Aaron responded without hesitation.
I really didn't know. Added to the fact that you showed up suddenly and bought out Starlight, I had a bad attitude toward you. Maybe you don't know, but I'm that kind of person. I'm never friendly to women, except for my family's and April. I believe that a man should only be nice and gentle to his own woman. I'm not like those who are warm and smiling to anyone they meet. I don't think that's right. My future father-in-law is like that. That's why I don't appreciate him. Melissa paused briefly. She thought for a moment, then found those words made sense. Also, he criticized April's father, and that made her extremely comfortable. Suddenly, she liked him much more than before.
If you don't appreciate him, why are you trying everything you can to save him? The look on her face turned slightly better.
Because he's April's father. I'm in a very low place at home. I only follow her words.
He sighed and said,
Also, I've dug into it and found that Uncle Kenneth was indeed framed by Isaac. He took away April's company and almost made her miscarry. No matter how, I'll send him to prison.
She had known how much April had helped her daughter. That was why she wanted to find out what kind of person he was by herself. She got close to him to get to know about his personality, while he didn't know who she really was. Many rich kids had all kinds of bad habits. No matter how much he had helped her daughter, she wouldn't trust him only because of that. A man would do anything for a woman when he was in love with her. But when he stopped loving her, he would kick her away. She had seen too many heartless men like...
You just say, Uncle Kenneth?
Melissa raised her brows.
Of course. He has done something bad to you, so I don't appreciate him. And to be honest, he, as April's father, should have seen Isaac's true face earlier. She was young and silly, but he should have been wiser. His failure resulted into a downfall for both April and her company.
Aaron shook his head with a frown. My dear future father-in-law, I'm deeply sorry. At this critical moment, I have no choice but to use you as a stepping stone, he thought. Melissa felt even more comfortable after hearing what Aaron felt about Kenneth. You're right. Kenneth is the real reason why Isaac was able to hurt April. Melissa brimmed with anger. He had an affair with Isaac's mother. That woman lied to her son, coaxed him into getting revenge on April. He put himself and my innocent daughter in a terrible place. Aaron wore a surprised look. It seemed that his future mother-in-law knew more than he did.
Do you know why Isaac hurt April's family?
He asked. I didn't at first. A couple of days ago, I saw Mira and learned something about it. But I don't know all the details yet. All in all, she lied to Isaac. He already knows the truth. If he still has some conscience, he should turn himself in. Melissa sighed.
Mother, you're really good,
Aaron praised.
I've been trying to figure out why, but Isaac refused to tell me. I only guessed that it had something to do with his mother.
She gave him a glare and said, You're a sweet talker. I'm telling you, whether you're nice to me isn't important. What's important is that you have to be nice to my daughter. Be loyal to her. Don't think I don't know that you got her pregnant before even marrying her. Mentioning that, Melissa got angry again. When Jeffrey told her about that, she was so pissed off that she almost passed out. Her daughter was experiencing the same thing she had. Before even finishing her school, she fell into a man's sweet trap and got pregnant. She had dropped out of school to give birth to the baby, and then that man cheated on her. Even though Mira claimed that nothing really happened between her and Kenneth, Melissa didn't believe her. Back then, Kenneth was very protective of Mira. He never took her, his wife, to any formal occasions, but took Mira everywhere. They showed up together at all kinds of lectures and forums. Perhaps Kenneth thought that she was too low for those formal occasions. After all, he was a professor while she was an orphan who dropped out of school. For that reason, she came back to find her daughter, to provide her with the best resources that she could find. She accepted the fact that her daughter had a boyfriend, but didn't want her to get married too soon. It wouldn't be too late for her to get married when she had her own career. By then, she would become a more confident woman. April especially needed that, because she would become a member of a rich family like the Bennett family. However, to her surprise, April was already pregnant.
I'm sorry about that.
Aaron had no other choice but to apologize sincerely.
I'm not young anymore. I'm 30 years old already. April is so much younger than me. I was afraid that I might lose her. But please don't worry. She's already in the 4th year of her school. The 4th year is relatively easy. Many students spend that year doing internships. After she gives birth to the baby, I'll hire nannies to take care of the baby, and she'll be able to do whatever she wants. In fact, I want her to have her own career too.
She said that she wants to be a voice actress, and I support her 100%. Melissa snorted coldly. Her father said the same thing to me, but look how that turned out. He did? Aaron knitted his brows. I didn't know he was that kind of person. Mom, we'll only let you see our baby, not him. Melissa stayed silent. Aaron grasped the opportunity and said, Mom, do you want to come with me and meet April right now? Actually, she misses you all the time. She knows what happened before, so she doesn't blame you. You might not know that Uncle Kenneth has been telling her that you died. That's why she didn't know that you're still alive. Earlier, she ran into your classmate, Jessica Rodriguez. That's how she learned that you're not dead and that you were pregnant. Melissa exploded with anger. When did I die? He is such a shameless person. I risked my life to give birth to April, yet he kept her for himself. And then he actually tried to erase me from my daughter's world? What a bastard! Aaron felt a little helpless. Because of that, he disapproved of Kenneth more. With some things, he couldn't explain too much, in case Melissa disliked him. He could tell that Melissa had many misunderstandings about Kenneth. After a short silence, Melissa asked worryingly, Do you think that, does April really not hate me? Aaron nodded. She never hated you. She believed that you did what you did for a reason. Her eyes reddened with excitement. After a while, she calmed down and said, It's too late today. I'm not going with you. Tomorrow morning, I'll be there with Jeffrey. Okay, Aaron nodded. I'll tell April about it. Thank you. Her lips quivered. Then she continued awkwardly. Don't misunderstand me. I do not think that you're good enough already. My test for you will last a whole lifetime. I'll see if you can be nice to her for her entire life, not just a year or two. I will. I can neglect myself, but I will never treat April poorly. Aaron smiled. After seeing Melissa off in her car, he turned to return to his own. Marvin saw that he had been talking to her and was concerned. Boss, did Melissa recognize you? How dare you call my mother-in-law by her name? Aaron shot him a glare. Marvin coughed and quickly corrected himself. Miss Diaz. Aaron let out a satisfied grunt. So, what did Miss Melissa say to you? Marvin asked meekly. His eyes betrayed a twinkle of hope. How he wished that someone would scold Aaron for his arrogance. He might have been cruel to wish that, but ever since April had gotten pregnant, Aaron had gotten carried away on many occasions, insulting the pride of someone a year older than him, without a rhyme or reason. What else could she say? Of course she praised me for how capable a son-in-law I was. Aaron closed his eyes and smiled. Tomorrow, you'll go to their place to bring them to our villa. They're going to meet with us. Mr. Bennett, you are quite capable, Marvin said between gritted teeth. It's necessary. Back at the villa, April had not fallen asleep. She was sitting by the television with Sister Emily eating soup. Hearing footsteps approach, she turned to see Aaron holding a takeaway box in his left hand and a bag of fruit in his right. Sir, when did you buy so much fruit? We still have a lot of it at home, Sister Emily said. I forgot. Aaron placed the takeaway box in front of April. Have some. I packed these for you. April opened the box to take a peek. There was a variety of delectable desserts and a few intricate dishes. Before, she might have finished the food in a matter of minutes, but now the smell of the food made her feel uncomfortable. I'm craving something spicy. She put the box down and sighed regrettably. Sister Emily said, They say that sour cravings is for sons while spicy is for daughters. It must be a girl. Not bad. Aaron looked at her approvingly. Your performance has been stellar lately. I'll add 1,000 to your monthly salary. Sister Emily could not stop herself from dancing with joy. Actually, I stand corrected. Must be a pair of twins. Aaron nodded. 1,000 is too little. I'll add 2,000. Derek, who was passing by, could not help but feel envious. I think it must be triplets. Aaron looked at him with disapproval. You're not being realistic. You don't mean it. How can April's little stomach fit 3 babies? Derek and April exchanged an awkward look in silence. Sister Emily was being phony as well. The doctor had already conducted an ultrasound, and even though both Erin and herself had insisted on keeping the baby's gender a secret, they know that she was not carrying twins, let alone triplets. She sighed. Sister Emily, have the food. Emily shook her head. No, I've been trying to lose weight. All right, even Sister Emily wanted to lose weight at her age. On the other hand, April was getting fatter. She turned and saw that Erin wore a pleasured expression. You look like you're in a good mood today. Uh-huh. He wanted to tell her about her mother, but he was too afraid that she might get too emotional to sleep, which might be bad for the fetus.
Stop watching TV and go to sleep.
I can't sleep, April rebelled as he picked her up. I've slept too much today.
I'll sleep with you.
April was speechless. She could not convince him otherwise. Melissa returned to the hotel. Jeffrey was sprawled lazily on the sofa watching a movie. He muttered,
What has the director been eating? His mind's full of rubbish. How does a shitty film like this get on the big screen? I am perplexed.
Melissa walked over, grabbed the remote control, and turned the television off.
What?
Jeffrey looked pretty unhappy and sat up. Sleep early. We're going to Erin's villa tomorrow to meet your sister, she said plainly. Jeffrey froze.
So soon? I thought you wanted to get to know Erin first.
I've had a brief understanding. He's passable. I gave him a score of 60, Melissa said without batting her eyelids. Jeffrey's pretty face fell momentarily.
How quick of you to change your mind. You were still heavily criticizing him yesterday.
Melissa glared at him. You have your opinions. I met him again today, and he treats your sister very well. He also seemed like someone with morals. After some thought, he has helped your sister out a lot. Jeffrey looked her over and commented,
Could it be because he helped you to scold Kenneth, so you feel that he's a better person?
Melissa turned away and walked towards her room. She said, Don't spout rubbish. Is your mother someone to fall for such tricks? He looked at her and chuckled. He knew that he had guessed right. A son knows his mother well. The next day at 8:30 a.m., April realized that Erin was still lying in the bed. You aren't going to work today? She said in a half-sleepy voice.
I've got something to settle today, so I'm not going.
He turned over on his side and cupped one side of her face in his hands. Oh, April said before surrendering herself to sleep.
You didn't ask me what I had to settle,
Erin asked. Has it got to do with me? April's eyes fluttered wide open. Is my father coming out?
No, but this shouldn't come second to your father coming out.
Erin smiled and tousled her hair. Stopping himself, he said,
Why don't you make a guess?
April yawned lazily. Unless you found my mother? Erin smiled but remained silent. April looked on, and her eyes started to widen. She suddenly did not feel sleepy anymore. I did not guess right, did I? She was trembling with excitement, but soon she felt helpless. In her conscious mind, the word Mum remained strange, yet familiar. If they met, what would it be like? Would it be like in the television shows where mother and daughter would be as close as ever? Or would it be strange and would they feel like strangers?
What's the matter?
Erin noticed that she had gone solemn and pulled her into his embrace. You've met my mother? She asked, unsettled. What kind of person is she? How did you find her? Didn't we say we would wait until my father comes out? Erin raised his eyebrows.
Huh.
April sat up suddenly. She could feel her entire body trembling with emotion.
Calm down. Don't hurt my baby.
Erin laid down on the bed.
I asked Marvin to fetch them in the morning. They'll be here later. Your brother as well.
April blinked a few times. Suddenly, she looked down and slapped Erin. It hurt. Indignant, he asked,
Why did you hit me?
I'm checking to see if I was dreaming, April said innocently. Erin gritted his teeth unhappily.
Then hit yourself. Why hit me?
Because I'm afraid of pain. She did not look guilty at all. Erin found that his woman was getting meaner and meaner.
You're not dreaming,
he said grumpily. April was so trembling with excitement, but soon that feeling was taken over by an unavoidable panic. For the longest time, the word mother was both familiar and strange to her. What would happen when she finally met her mother? Would they naturally become close despite the fact that they had been separated for so many years, like the stories in some TV series? Would they be like strangers? Seeing her fall into silence, Aaron pulled her over and asked,
"What's wrong?"
"How did you find her? Didn't you say that you'll start looking for her after you got my father out of the prison?"
"I didn't look for her. She just showed up and I recognized her."
Aaron stroked her arm and told her the truth.
"She cares a lot about you. She really loves you. She's worried that I might mistreat you, so she got close to me as a stranger to see if I'm a good person or not. And in fact, you've met your brother."
April paused briefly, then hurriedly got up from him and asked, "Who is it?"
"Guess," he said. "You should be able to guess it now. You've seen him lately."
April fell into confusion. Whom had she recently met? She stayed at home every single day. Suddenly, a thought popped up in her mind, and some words escaped her lips. "That boy who saved me in the shopping mall. My new neighbor?" Aaron raised his brows and smiled silently. Seeing that look on his face, April knew that she had guessed right. April slapped Aaron's chest. "I can't believe that I didn't realize it until just now." That slap caused Aaron real pain.
"April Eisenberg, I'm not a table."
She ignored him. "No wonder I felt so familiar with him that day. I felt no repulsion, not even when he carried me. I felt happy and sweet. It turned out that it was because he's my brother." Aaron was fuming. Happy and sweet? She never mentioned happy and sweet when he carried her.
"April, you didn't say so back then."
He clenched his teeth and said,
"You've told me that you only let him hold you because you were dizzy."
She buried her face in her hands, saying, "My brother is so handsome. How can he be so handsome? He's so handsome." Aaron stayed calm for a moment before pulling April closer to him.
"Is your brother more handsome, or am I?"
he asked. April could sense the discomfort in his voice. "You're my boyfriend, and he's my brother. There's no point to this comparison."
"I care very much."
His dark eyes showed strong discontent.
"You never said that about me."
He was jealous. He remembered that she said she would be really nice to her brother if she had one. What would he do if that really happened? "All right, you're handsome too. You're the manly type and my brother is a pretty type."
"That's not right. You said once that I'm like a man in comics."
He remembered that clearly. "You're my favorite type." April wasn't in the mood for this kind of discussion, so she gave a simple response. Aaron curved his lips in a smile as her answer satisfied him. "It seems that my brother knows who I am for a long time." April had finally figured it out. "He moved next door to me deliberately, didn't he? Why didn't he just tell me the truth?" Aaron glanced at her. Her families didn't tell her the truth because they wanted to find out what kind of man he was first. Jeffrey even pretended to be a suitor of her. Back then, Aaron almost lost his temper because of jealousy. If he hadn't avoided picking a fight with him that day, April would have seen him as a violent person. His future brother-in-law was so evil. That boy clearly was not easy to deal with.
"I guess it's because they don't want to scare you,"
he said.
"Besides, when your mother left, you didn't know that you had a brother. As for your mother, even though she hasn't talked to you, she has done a lot for you. Earlier I told you that someone bought out the Magma Group. That person was your mother."
April was surprised. She had heard that her mother's family background wasn't ordinary, but didn't expect her to be so rich. She even bought out the Magma Group easily. Why didn't she come back for me earlier? April suddenly got upset. Previously, she had thought that her mother might be living a poor life out there, and that was why she didn't come back for her. But now she found out that she was wrong.
She had her own reasons. She only returned to the Diaz family 5 years ago. Before that, she and your brother lived a hard life, so they couldn't come back to find you. Besides, if your father found out about your brother, he would want him. As a woman who has no power or money, I guess your mother didn't dare to take that risk.
He gently put her arm around April to comfort her.
"I've asked Marvin to do some background checking. Your mother often went to the polar regions to film documentaries. 3 years ago, she had an accident and was injured pretty badly. 3 years ago, your brother came back to look for you, but then left in haste. I guess that was because your mother had an accident."
April understood, and suddenly she blamed her father a little bit. If he had dealt with the problem between him and her mother in a mature way, and not locked her mother up after she got pregnant, she might not have been away for so many years. "Aaron, my mother didn't get married again, did she?"
According to what I know, no."
April sighed. "In fact, my father still loves her. What happened 20 years ago was only a misunderstanding. I wish they could get back together." Aaron moved his lips slightly, then told the truth.
"April, even though I haven't talked too much with your mother, I can tell that she hates your father. In fact, your parents are both adults. Just let them do what they find comfortable. It's unnecessary for them to be together for their children if it is against their wills."
He himself had experienced the same thing. He witnessed his mother sacrifice a lot for his father and himself. April knew that he was thinking of his own parents. She nodded in silence, then said, "You're right, as long as they're happy." After saying that, she got up from the bed and said, "When will they be here?"
"They live a little far away from here. It'll take about an hour driving. So they might be here at 10:30 or later. You can get some more sleep,"
Aaron said as he held her hand. "No, how can I possibly fall asleep?" April washed her hair, did some skincare, then changed her clothes over and over again. Aaron leaned against the door of the closet, watched her, and said unhappily,
"You never selected clothes so carefully when going out with me."
"You've seen me in ugly shapes and in pretty clothes. Why do you mind?" She walked to him, stood on her tiptoes, and kissed his lips. She was in a very good mood. Aaron's heart skipped a beat. His woman rarely took such initiative to kiss him. How could he let her run away easily? His strong arm clapped her waist and pulled her to his chest. Then Aaron's lips pressed against hers aggressively and invaded her sweet, freshly scented mouth. April put both her arms around his neck. April placed her on top of his feet and hugged her tightly, his dominant aura surrounding her. She was trying on a chiffon dress and hadn't zipped up the back yet. The dress easily fell to their feet. Aaron bent down and kissed her belly over and over again. Her slim waist had become a little more rounded, but the roundness contained the product of their love, a little princess. April looked down at him shyly, her voice as soft as a mosquito. "Get up quickly. The doctor said that we can't do that."
"I didn't say I was going to do anything."
Aaron gloomily lifted up her dress, zipped it up, and blurted out 2 words.
"So sweet."
April blushed even more. He kissed many places. She didn't know which part he referred to.
"April, in the future when you have a brother and mother, will my position in your heart be pushed to the back?"
he asked. A trace of arrogance could be seen from his eyes. "Of course not. You will always occupy the most important position in my heart," April said softly. Aaron wanted to hear nothing more then. He was relieved. At 10:40 a.m., there was a sound of a car outside. April eagerly walked out. From the Maybach, the first to come out was Jeffrey, clad in ankle jeans and a white shirt. Even the bright rays of the sunshine appeared dull when shining on his features that were as elegant as the subject of Greek paintings. Right after him, a woman walked out from the other side of the car. She was in a deep blue dress with her hair half tied. Not everyone pulled off that color, but on her, she looked charming and alluring. April had seen a photo of her mother from 20 years ago. Then, her face spoke of innocence of a young girl. The years in between did not leave many marks on her face, but she gained an air of maturity. Since she knew that Jeffrey was still alive, April daydreamed about how her mother would look. Yet, when she met her mother in person, her mind went blank. Jeffrey didn't dare walk forward, but stood a few meters away and stared at April dazedly, her eyes slowly turning red. Jeffrey sighed and took a few steps forward till he was in front of her. He had a tall and slim build. April barely reached his chest. He looked at her.
"Hi, April Eisenberg."
Before he could finish, he was hit on the back of his head by Melissa.
"Who said you could address her directly by her name?
Call her big sister." Jeffrey rubbed the back of his head and glared angrily at Melissa before turning around. He gently patted April's head and said,
"Ha, big sister."
This time, he didn't finish before Aaron hit his hands away. Aaron said with a cool gaze,
"You can't touch my girlfriend's head, either."
April glared at Aaron. "You are not allowed to bully my younger brother." When she finished, she hugged Jeffrey. Aaron's eyes rounded and filled with flames of jealousy. Even if it was her own brother, he didn't feel comfortable that his woman was hugging another man. His heart felt like it was being scratched in 100 places. He tried very hard to hold it in for about 3 seconds before forcefully pulling April away.
"There's no need to hug your brother for that long. Hug your mother."
Jeffrey hadn't hugged her for long, nor had he said much to her before she was pulled away. He was instantly annoyed and laughed sarcastically.
"Why didn't I know that I gained a old big brother like you?"
Aaron's eyes darkened.
"Who were you calling old, rascal? You're older than me by 10 years. If you're not old big brother, what are you?"
Jeffrey said lightly.
"Be good and call me brother-in-law."
Aaron took out a fat red packet from his pocket.
"A gift for our first meeting."
April had no idea when he prepared the gift. He'd never mentioned it to her. Melissa was satisfied. Although he was born to a rich family, he understood the mannerism when meeting important people. "Just accept it." She sent a look to her son in case the rascal made the situation difficult and caused her daughter to be unhappy. Jeffrey suppressed the urge to punch Aaron and took it grudgingly. Melissa finally came forward and smiled gently at her daughter, her tears almost spilling over. She forced herself to raise her head. Things like tears didn't suit her, but when she opened her mouth, her voice choked. April didn't dare to speak either. She was afraid that when she did, she would start crying. Instead, she moved forward and hugged Melissa forcefully. She buried her face in Melissa's chest and said, "Mom." Both April and Melissa started crying tears of joy. Jeffrey teared up as well. He took a deep breath and noticed that Aaron was watching him. He hurriedly raised his head and commented,
"To think that your villa has so much sand, the wind blew it into my eyes. The estate upkeep is not thorough."
The sun was so hot that it could burn off a layer of skin. How could there be wind? If he wanted to cry, just cry. The rascal should stop pretending. "Let Mother go in and enjoy the air conditioning. It's hot outside," April said. April then wiped her tears and let go. "Mom, come in quickly." All sorts of fruit and nuts were laid out on the coffee table in the living room. Just as Melissa sat down, Sister Emily brought over tea immediately. Even before the tea was served, Aaron took out another red packet from his pocket.
"Mom, a gift for the engagement with your daughter."
Sister Emily was so shocked that her feet stumbled, almost spilling all the tea. In fact, everyone around Aaron was stunned. Aaron placed the red packet in Melissa's hands and she felt a card in the red packet. Aaron's gaze was serious and sincere.
"I wanted to give an engagement gift to my fiancé's family for a long time, but Uncle Kenneth has been in jail. I initially planned to give an engagement gift once he is released, but now that I've met you today, Mom, I feel that I should give it to you. After all, you are calmer and more rational compared to him."
April was speechless. Damn it, this guy was shameless. This wasn't how he addressed Father last time. He was calling him Dad in prison. Melissa felt embarrassed to accept the engagement gift. First off, she only just reconciled with her daughter, and the two of them were not familiar with each other yet. In addition, she didn't do much for her as a mother. Only Aaron's words made her heart light, so she couldn't bear to turn it down. Aaron continued,
"Mom, it's not much money, only a few billion. I know that April is priceless, but all of my money is with her now, so I can't give much."
Melissa broke out in sweat. What is he? She thought to herself. It was unusual for anyone to shower such gifts. A few billion was not considered much. Are you jealous? Before Melissa reconnected with her family, her and a few billion was a mirage for her. She was surprised that her daughter was actually so capable, that she was already managing Aaron's money. Perhaps she had learned a lesson from what Isaac did to her, and was no longer easily fooled. "Is what he said true?" she asked April. "Yes, he's lavish in spending money," April responded awkwardly. However, even though she had taken away his bank cards, he had bound those cards with his other payment gateway apps like PayPal. He could still easily spend as much money as he wanted. April just didn't have the heart to cut the ground from under his feet by telling him the truth right now.
I am.
Aaron hurriedly agreed with her.
I could spend a lot of money every single day. So later, we discussed it and decided to let April manage my money. She only needs to give me some gas money every month. I don't really need to spend much money actually, as I don't play games, nor smoke, nor drink, and I rarely engage in social intercourse.
Jeffrey snorted. It was clear as daylight that Aaron was trying to fawn on his mother, but right at the end he started to brag about himself. Unlike him, his mother couldn't stop nodding. How silly, Jeffrey thought.
Mom, just take it, or I'll feel sorry that I couldn't honor April's family like I wanted to.
In this case, I don't think I can reject you, but I won't take your money. I'll give it to April. She hurriedly held April's hands and thrust the card in them. Then she quickly took out a contract from her purse and handed to April. This is Jeffrey's shares. I'm giving it all to you. This took April by surprise. She didn't even know how to respond. Mom, what are you doing? I don't know how to run a company. I only want to be a normal voice actress. Just take the shares. I've hired managers for you. You don't need to do anything but take the profit every year. Melissa looked at her with guilt. All these years, I haven't done anything for you. So now I can only get everything that belongs to you back for you. If you ever want anything, just tell me. Mommy will give you everything you want. Aaron held April's hand.
Mom, you only need to spend more time with April. If she wants anything, I'll get it for her. What you need to do is be her mother. That's all.
April couldn't hold herself back and chimed in. Yeah, Mom, I have everything I need. One thing I didn't have in my life is a mother. Now I have one. I feel so happy. I want to know more about you. How was your life? Melissa snorted with laughter and said, Well, I was really lucky. Your grandpa met your grandma in Rosewood City when he came in search for work. He was only playing her. He came from a rich family and was already married. He even had children. Later on, he finished his work and left when your grandma found out that she was pregnant with me. She didn't want me, so she gave birth to me and left me in an orphanage. Unexpectedly, your grandpa's only son accidentally died 5 years ago in a steelwork factory. He somehow found out that your grandma had me, so he found me and brought me back to the Diaz family. I didn't want to go at first. My life was a failure, but I could live with it. However, for my 2 children, I decided to return. I didn't take a part in their family business, though, as that is a way too complicated world. I've been doing what I like, making films. If I hadn't had to buy out the Magma Group, I wouldn't have touched the Diaz family's money. April was quick to realize that the amount of pain she went through was just a speck of dust compared to the sea of sorrows that her mom had to sail through. Mom, just stay here. I'll take care of you from now on. Sure, I don't want to leave the country again. I want to spend more time with you. Melissa shed tears while stroking April's face. You have no idea how little you were when I left. I dreamed about you every single night and then cried when I woke up. I didn't want to leave you. I really didn't, but I didn't dare go back either. Your father locked me up in a small room, even sealed the window. I couldn't see the sky. It was so miserable. I felt like a breeding machine. I was afraid that he might give your brother to someone else and that he might not even let me see him. I told myself that I needed to leave, to fight, to grow strong, that one day I'll become even stronger than your father so I can get you back. However, the outside world was such a difficult place. I didn't finish college, so wherever I went, people looked down on me. Mom, stop. April held her tight. At that very moment, she hated her father. Before, she wished that her parents could get back together. But now, she had changed her mind. He had hurt her mother too much. Perhaps Melissa wasn't a perfect person when she was young, but she dropped out of school for him and bore a child in her best years. She should have been cherished, yet she wasn't.
Mom, from now on, we are your family,
Aaron added. Melissa wiped her tears and nodded. They stayed for lunch. Sister Emily made some great dishes. They chatted while eating. April mentioned that Jeffrey was studying in Langford College of Communication. Aaron, didn't you say that you were worried about me living in the apartment alone with Winnie? Now you can stop worrying. Jeffrey lives next door and we're studying in the same school. Hearing that, Aaron hurriedly swallowed the food in his mouth and said, Your brother is still young and he doesn't have a girlfriend. He doesn't know how to take care of people. Don't trouble him. You both need to focus on study and improving yourselves. Jeffrey lazily raised his head and responded, You are wrong. I'm actually good at cooking. When I lived with Mom, I always cooked for her. He always complained about my food, Melissa added with embarrassment. What you did was not cooking. It was more like getting things cooked. Jeffrey sighed and shook his head. April laughed. Your future girlfriend is lucky. Jeffrey carelessly smiled and said, Having a girlfriend's no fun. It won't be as good as having meals and watching films together with my sister. Great, she immediately agreed. But after that, she felt that someone stomped her foot under the table. That's what husbands do, Aaron said. Is that so, sister? Jeffrey looked at April with his glistening black eyes. His pretty face wore a slightly harmed look. April hurriedly nodded and replied, Don't listen to him. You can call me whenever you want to have a meal or watch a film. Jeffrey turned to Aaron and raised his eyebrows. His expression looked troubled. His woman was looking at her brother with a silly smile on her face, and he was not happy about it. Sister, is that shrimp good? I want to try it, but I don't want to bother to peel it. His delicate face had a pitiful look. April was fired up and blurted out without thinking, I'll peel for you, Aaron said in a low voice. He is already an adult. He can peel it himself. It will be troublesome if you spoil him and make his girlfriend peel for him in the future. April gave him a look. Had she not peeled prawns for him many times before? Anyways, her brother was so good-looking, there was no need to worry that he couldn't find a woman to peel prawns for him. He is my younger brother. It's all right to spoil him a little. Saying this, April peeled the prawn happily. Don't feed his habits. His hands are not crippled, Melissa piped in. Jeffrey sighed slowly. I just want to experience life being cared for by my sister. When we were overseas, I always envied those with older sisters and wanted to meet her. When I saw her in Chicago the last time, it was like a dream. April was stunned. You've seen me? Mm-hmm. My friend Morris is the CEO's son. He was giving me a tour of the city and I saw you by chance, but you were walking too fast. Suddenly, April realized something. After that, Ben was suddenly swapped out. That wouldn't have anything to do with you, would it? Jeffrey's face remained passive, but it was full of pride. No matter who bullies you, I won't let this person off. Brother, you're great. I was really upset with Ben. When I heard that he was swapped out, I felt avenged. But what I am most in awe of is how you can find a Hollywood star so quickly. Mm-hmm. I've worked with them before and we have a good relationship. You're still so young, but you've already worked with people from Hollywood. April admired him very much. Melissa smiled. This rascal has talent in directing and writing screenplays. 3 years ago, Master Wilson let him work on The Last Disciple. He participated in all the movies that Wilson directed. Immediately, April understood. Although she was only a lowly voice actress, she still knew some things about the industry. Wilson was a big shot. Every single one of his movies broke the world record in box office sales. I don't believe that you're my younger brother. To think that I have such an outstanding brother. April felt so proud of him and continued to peel prawns for him. Jeffrey picked up a prawn and covertly raised a handsome eyebrow towards Aaron while his eyes shined. Picking a fight? This guy was picking a fight. Aaron narrowed his eyes. He felt like a jar of vinegar had spilled over his heart. Everything he ate tasted sour. But Melissa was here as well, and it was her first time at his place. She couldn't show his jealousy. Mom, will you be staying with Jeffrey in the future? Aaron changed the topic. No, I won't. I have my own work to do as well. However, I plan to buy a house in Lukesville, she said with a smile. There seems to be a villa right beside us. The environment is pretty good and the house is already furnished. If Mum doesn't mind, you can buy the house neighboring ours. I'll negotiate the price for you, Aaron said hurriedly. If we stay close, we can take care of each other too. When April heard that, expectation filled her eyes. Although she had just gotten her mum back, it would be best if she could stay beside. Sure, Melissa agreed. Rather than her son, she wanted to spend more time with her daughter now. Melissa and Jeffrey stayed till after dinner. April walked them to the door, but still couldn't bear to say goodbye. She was still very happy, so much that the whole day seemed like a dream. After she had showered, April happily shared the good news with Winnie. What? So that rascal is your younger brother? It's no wonder that I kept thinking he looks like you, Winnie exclaimed. April smiled widely. That's true. My brother indeed looks a lot like me. April laughed secretly. That is a given. It feels so good to have a younger brother out of nowhere. Winnie, my brother stays right next to you. Can I trouble you to look after him? To be honest, she didn't want to take care of that guy. Both of you will be in the entertainment industry in the future. She told her a summarized version of the story between her and Jeffrey, but left off the part about her ex-boyfriend. Are the people from your family born geniuses? Winnie was incredibly envious. That sort of student would be a national treasure in Zimai. I'm not sure, but I've never been troubled by studying. It was a given that she never felt troubled. She effortlessly topped the cohort in every exam. Winnie sighed. She suddenly understood why Marianne was so full of jealousy and hatred. April put the phone down. She turned around and found Aaron sitting on the bed with a cold look on his expressionless face. Aaron! April inched towards him. Her hand touched his shoulder when it was pushed away. Don't touch me. The man coldly opened his laptop to look at the stock market. She blinked rapidly. April was in a good mood today and felt that even if he hit her, she wouldn't be angry. What's wrong? Aaron snorted and gave her a look. Don't talk to me. I'm not as handsome as your brother, he continued saying. Don't date me either. Just go with your brother on lunch and movie dates in the future. Don't peel prawns for me either. Just peel for your brother. If you're bullied in the future, don't look to me either. Look for your brother since he is almighty. April stayed silent while watching him whine. It was only when he quieted that she asked, Are you done? Aaron turned his face away and continued looking at stocks with his chin high. He looked incredibly arrogant. April looked at him for a while before she lowered her head and laughed quietly. Are you all right? You're getting jealous over my younger brother. Aaron smiled coldly. I'm not jealous. I just find it unfair. Look, I treat Sylvia like a blade of grass, allowing her to grow on her own. You should be like me. April was speechless. To proudly declare words like he treats his sister like a blade of grass. Actually, I think you should show more concern toward your sister. I've given you all my concern, he said lightly. Younger sisters are not important. I can't do anything about that. You've been an older brother for over 20 years, but it's my first time being an older sister. April rubbed the back of her feet against him under the blanket. I'm just too happy. I can't help but spoil my brother a little. Anyways, don't you think that he looks super cute and handsome? Excuse me, but I'm not gay. I don't feel anything towards guys, Aaron replied coldly. The next day, April frowned. Mom, I understand that you really hate Dad, but I asked him about it. He didn't. I don't really want to know how far he went with Mira. Melissa cut her off, saying, But back then, all the neighbors, even the teachers and students saw how they went everywhere together. Everyone knew. If he was using Mira to provoke me, then he is worse, because he toyed with her feelings as well. It's no wonder that she hates him. You should understand the truth. Honestly, if she hadn't seen the despair in Isaac's eyes that day, she might not have said these words. April grew silent. All right, I should leave. Melissa put her cup down and stood up. Mom, are you not curious at all about what happened back then? April couldn't hold back and blurted out. In these 20 years, Dad didn't look for any other woman, nor did he remarry. That's why I believe what he said. There must be a misunderstanding between the two of you. When you were young, you did things that hurt each other because you cared so much. I don't care what reasons he had. What I remember about my life is that after 9 long months, I gave birth to you, and yet I was at the receiving end of your grandmother's eye rolls and disdain. Your father hid away at school while you cried every night and refused to sleep. While I was tired to my bones, Your father brought another woman in and out of public events. When I was pregnant with Jeffrey, another woman sent me an intimate photo of herself with your father to provoke me. I was upset and said that I didn't want the child anymore. Then your father locked me upstairs. He didn't understand me. As a woman, how could I bear to abort my own child? April, I hate him. I've never hated a man so much. In your eyes, he may be a good father, but when I look at him, I want to kill him along with myself. Melissa couldn't bear the burden of this pain anymore and left after she finished. April sat alone for a long time before asking Derek to call Isaac over. 5 minutes later, she received a call from N.A.
You better protect your lips. Don't get kissed by him again.
You should also ask your bodyguard to accomplish something. Don't spend the money and end up not being able to do anything. April retaliated. Aaron felt depressed.
Don't worry. I'll definitely ask my bodyguards to make sure Isaac is unable to be within a 3-meter radius of you.
April bent her head and smiled. When Isaac walked in, he saw the girl he loved, wearing loosely fitted, pure white pajamas while sitting on a dark green leather sofa imported from Italy. She looked like she was being well taken care of. Her ivory white skin was so soft that it looked like a dew could drip out from it. She had gained weight since the last time he saw her, but that didn't affect her beauty. When she smiled, her eyes seemed to emit light. His footsteps halted. He gazed at her from a distance. When she discovered his presence, her smile disappeared and her gaze became guarded and cold. A wave of pain that was almost suffocating overcame his heart. With difficulty, he moved his long legs to walk over. Only, he was stopped by bodyguards before he could reach her. April hung up the phone and was a little surprised when she saw him. He must not have slept for days. His eyes were bloodshot. His chin was full of stubble, and his eyes were gloomy. His whole person was dispirited. There was a world of difference from back at the vacation resort. Only, she had no sympathy for him. April spoke first, saying, "Have you heard of the story of the boy who cried wolf? You've lied to me many times. This is the last chance I'm giving you. I hope that you will not come to see me in the future." Isaac moved his cracked lips with difficulty, saying,
April, I want to talk to you in private for a while.
His eyes were full of sincerity. "Do you think that's possible?" April asked. "I'm currently pregnant. Who knows if you would give me a sudden push?" Isaac's gaze landed on her belly. Although he had already heard about her pregnancy, he still felt needles piercing his heart. He had no one to blame for this except himself.
If we hadn't got divorced, we might also have children by now,
he said, distractedly with red-rimmed eyes. April's gaze spoke of impatience. "Why did you come today? If it is to reminisce, I'm not interested in listening." He felt dejected.
I want to give myself up. I came to see you. There are some things that I want to tell you.
April was visibly surprised. "You are willing to confess? You were willing to give up the riches you have now?" Isaac's face got hot. He wanted to hide in a hole. He took out a card from his pocket and placed it on the coffee table.
This is the money your mom spent to buy Imperial Corporation shares. All of it is in here. The company belonged to your family in the first place. It was me who used despicable methods to snatch your shares. I'm returning it to you now, back to its rightful owner."
April stared at the card without moving. She couldn't believe it.
About the resort. I plan to sell it and give my money to my mom. After all, she is getting old and she doesn't have useful skills.
Isaac appeared sad. April hesitated for a moment before asking, "Can you tell me why you hated my family so much?" His face paled and his fingers dug into his palms. Moments later, he smiled, but with a smile even uglier than crying.
"That is a joke."
Instantly, his eyes turned red and tears blurred his vision. It took a while before he calmed down.
In the past, my mom and dad were together since high school. My mom became pregnant with me before she even graduated. She didn't have a choice and gave birth to me while she stopped schooling for a year before taking the college entrance examination again. As for my father, because his family's financial situation was not very good, he quit school and started his own business. My parents didn't have a certificate of marriage, but in the eyes of their parents, they were practically married. Their families wanted them to get the certificate after my mom graduated. Then my mom got into university in Lukesville. There she met your dad. And you should also know what happened then."
April nodded while her heart was in shock. She didn't expect that Mira would still seduce her father when she already had a partner and son.
"As for me, I was raised by my grandmother. My dad often came to visit me, so we had a very good relationship. After, my father was doing well in medical equipment and even started a very good medical equipment company. He always loved my mom very much and waited for her graduation. Yet, she said that after she finished year 4, she wanted to continue to study for her master's. My dad respected her decision and waited for her. When my mom finished her education and returned to our city, she married my dad. However, when I was 10 years old, my father came to town on a business trip and found out my mom had lost a baby when she was in year 4.
April was stunned and stammered, "It can't be that your mom had a baby with my dad?" It wasn't that she didn't believe Isaac, but Melissa said that Mira had once sent a photo of her being intimate with her father. Isaac shook his head and said,
"That's what I thought at first. Earlier, my mother mentioned to your mother that Kenneth never touched her. I don't know whose child that was."
April was speechless. Mira was really reckless in her personal life when she was young. "I guess your father was very angry when he found out," she said.
"Yes, very angry."
Isaac clenched his teeth and said,
"He loved my mother so much. He gave her all the money he made and listened to every word she said. He never drank or lit a smoke because that was what she asked. After knowing the truth, his heart was broken. He forced my mother to tell him how she got pregnant. She told him that your father raped her and that your father threatened her to do as he pleases or he wouldn't let her graduate."
April sneered. "And your father believed her?"
"Yes, he did. He went to question Kenneth and my mother didn't know. He stayed in a hotel near the school and that night the hotel caught fire and he died."
Isaac's tears gushed out as he finished talking. April was choked with sobs. "That's why you hate my father. You thought if my father didn't hurt your mother, your father would still be alive." Isaac nodded, then raised his head and wiped his tears with the back of his hand.
"Yes, my father loved me so much. He was a very good man and yet he died such a miserable death. Ever since he died, I told myself that I'd make your father pay. That's why I showed up in your life, made you fall in love with me. I just didn't know that I'd fall for you too. I hesitated, struggled. But still, I couldn't forget about my father's death, so I had no choice but to sacrifice you. I often thought that even though I framed your father, he is guilty indeed, that he did something bad, but no one caught him. But now I learned that my mother lied to me, with a lie she pushed into a hopeless state and ruined my life. Your father had good principles. When we were together, he was very nice to me. He let me work in your company, but when I got familiar with the business, I stole your shares together with the other shareholders. I'm sorry, April. I owe your family too much. I'll turn myself in."
Hearing that, April stayed silent for a long while. She felt that the whole thing was so ridiculous. This was actually something very simple. Clearly, Mira tried to seduce her father but failed. Meanwhile, she was with some other man and was afraid that her husband might find out about it. So she made up a lie. And that lie cost her husband's life and made her son live in hatred. She had countless chances to explain, but she never did. Maybe she was too much of a coward to do that. How could a woman be so selfish and terrible? She was even worse than Esma. "Didn't you do any background checks before you started carrying out your family plan?" April accused him. "You firmly believed in your mother's lie." Isaac lowered his head guiltily and said,
I hired some people to ask around. They asked your neighbors and some other professors in your father's school. Those people said that your father was indeed close to my mother. I didn't dig any deeper after that."
April didn't know what to say.
"April, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. I've done you too much harm."
Isaac lowered his head in regret. His tears fell on his shoes.
"And I made your father spend so many years in prison. I'll go to prison to atone for my crime. You take care."
After saying that, he gazed straight at her, seemed to imprint her face in his mind. April felt heartache as well. She really didn't know what to say. She pitied him. but didn't think that he was forgivable. April said honestly, I hope you can reflect on yourself in prison. You're so young. After all, if you turn yourself in, the judge will give you a lesser punishment. Don't be like before. Be a big-hearted man. Don't always think that you need to ruin everyone else's happiness because you have lost your own. Don't think that you'd rather destroy the things that you can't have. That was just extreme. He planned to turn himself in, meaning that he was not entirely bad. Can you forgive me then? Isaac's eyes showed a gleam of hope. I can't. April shook her head. Think about what you have done to me, how many awful words you've said to me, and you really should apologize to my father. He spent 4 years in prison for nothing. He's not young anymore. How many years does he have left? I get it, Isaac replied disappointedly. He had hoped for too much. He had made so many mistakes that he could barely count them. I'm leaving. Take care. Isaac turned, his tears running off his cheeks. Perhaps when he got out of prison, her child would be old enough to go to school. She would become the respected Mrs. Bennet while he would have nothing. All he could do was to wish her happiness. Wishing happiness to other people was the first thing that he was learning. April walked to the door and watched him go away. Somehow, she suddenly recalled everything that had happened between Isaac and herself, from how they've known each other, to her falling in love with him, to the breaking up. She was young but felt that she had experienced a lot. 1 hour later, she calmed down and called Melissa. After hearing what she said, Melissa stayed silent for a long while, then responded with, If nothing happened between your father and Mira at all, he would not have been framed. She ended the call after saying that. April sighed. She couldn't tell if her father was unlucky or if he deserved what he was suffering now. Back then, he had only tried to make her mother angry, but unexpectedly, what he did caused a lot of trouble that came back to haunt him many years later. At 5:30, Aaron came quickly home from work. Aaron, April put her arms around his neck and said, I'm in a bad mood. Aaron hadn't been there, but the security people watched the whole process and had reported to him long ago. He felt rather speechless at the reasons that Isaac gave. He could only say that Isaac was so unlucky that he had such an awful mother. He never liked his own father, but at the very least, his father didn't put him in prison. With that thought, he suddenly felt that Bennett Villa was rather nice.
Think about something happy. Your father is coming out of prison.
Aaron put an arm around her and comforted her. April was still upset. Aaron lowered his head, looked at her and said,
You're not feeling sorry for the failed relationship between you and Isaac, are you?
No, I'm not. April shook her head and said, I just feel that some people are so evil. Aaron thought for a second then said,
Sometimes making a mistake isn't a bad thing. The really bad thing is that some people lack the courage to admit the mistakes that they made, so they make more and more mistakes. Mira thought that she could run away from the mistakes that she made when she was young by hiding in a nursing home for the rest of her life. Isaac tried to punish someone else but found out that he targeted the wrong person. He was wrong too. If everyone tried to solve their issues with other people in their own ways, society would become chaotic. What are the police and the law for? He deserved the punishment he was getting. According to criminal law, cases like his would be sentenced to a minimum of 3 years and a maximum of 7 years in jail. If he gave himself up and performed well in jail, he would be released after 5 years at the most. April nodded. Only, it's a shame that people like Mira cannot go to jail. We cannot do anything about that. She did not break the law, only said some words. Those kinds of people are the worst. But she is probably going to lose her son forever, so she won't be very happy in this lifetime. Stop overthinking. Let's just peacefully wait for Isaac to give himself up and hope there won't be another curveball.
It's no use, even if he changes his mind. I voice recorded our entire conversation today, April said. Aaron was slightly surprised. He was impressed and gave her cheeks a pinch.
Not bad. You've grown smarter.
April glared at him unhappily. All right. She admitted that she had been stupid on some occasions, but everything was about to be over.